Hi there. Another edition of Books and Things. Tonight's guest is a great author, a children's author. He's just a little guy. But anyway, he was also the first chairman. He started the S.E. Kappa chapter here in Groton. And I was asked to give him a hand, and I did. Anyway, his name is John Benjamin Sciarra. John, welcome.
Good to be here, Tom. Good to see you.
Yes, it's good. Now, you're an award-winning author, animal expert, columnist, artist, and a musician. I forgot that you used to play in bands.
I did, back when I had more hair.
Yeah. Thank God, I still got mine.
Yes.
We had a bunch of guys get together at the VFW, and they took the bald-headed guy's shot. And I was the oldest one there, and they wouldn't let me in the picture because I have hair.
I don't blame them.
So anyway, you've got 7 novels done, and so we're going to talk about your new one, or you want to talk about some of the older ones?
Well, maybe I can introduce the new one to you, and maybe we'll close with the other ones.
Yeah.
The new one's kind of controversial, or it could be controversial, because that's something that is in the news an awful lot and has been lately, which is animals being used in research.
Yeah.
And more animals have been taken away, not only in research, but even in the entertainment field. We had Blackfish came out, which talked about the killer whales, and now the killer whales are being retired.
Yeah.
So it's having an impact. The elephants with the circuses, they talked about those, and now the elephants are being retired as well.
What's a circus without an elephant?
A circus now, from now on.
Yeah.
And in animal research, because I worked at a pharmaceutical company and retired there, I've been there for 16 years, so I just retired recently. And one of the things that I did was worked with animals in research. And that was always a difficult position for me coming out of the aquarium field and working in zoos and aquariums. Could I work with research animals? And I really had to adapt to the attitude that it's a necessary evil, because it's not the companies themselves, it's not the pharmaceutical companies or the medical schools that have a choice on whether to use animals or not. It's the government that requires it. Yeah. So people have an issue with animals in research. It doesn't do any good to go and stand out in front of a pharmaceutical company and complain about it. I also felt that I could do more of an impact in the place because I had expertise in animals. And I was able to do that. My expertise was with fish. Now it might seem like, what do people and fish have in common? Yeah. Well, a whole lot. Over 80% of the diseases that we get, fish have as well. And there's just this little fish that has caught on, and really it's the premier model around the world for research is zebrafish. Really? And it's a 2-inch long little fish that you can get in any pet store. They all have them, little striped fish. They look like a striped bass, but a lot smaller. And they're very easy to take care of. But they can also have human diseases inserted into them, really? Into their eggs. And eggs develop very quickly. In about 5 days to 7 days, the fish swim off. So from conception to a living animal, breathing adult, 5 to 7 days. It's to be able to study an animal in living or in life like that has been a real bonus for people that are studying diseases and the effect of drugs on animals. Mm-hmm. So being my background and my expertise was working with and breeding and raising animals like that. And I work with some remarkably intelligent people there. They had geneticists and scientists, groups of them, that they were putting stuff on the board that it would take me weeks and weeks of research to find out what it was they were talking about at the last meeting. But I always wanted to learn, because I was trying to provide them with the model. They were doing the research on it, and most of the work was done in eggs. So we found those fish eggs were taking away the numbers of animals that were being necessary to use in research. So to me, that was a positive thing. So instead of standing outside the gate and complaining about it, I felt that that was a good place to be, was to be inside and impact it from that standpoint. Now, recently, within the last couple of years, laws have been enacted that no longer allow chimpanzees to be used in research.
Wow.
So now the chimpanzees are going away. A lot of the airlines, because of pressure from all these animals' rights groups, will not carry any primates in their cargo.
Huh.
So, the future is kind of getting defined for us. Where is animal research going to go?
Well, I think it's crazy. It really is. And, we can't use other humans as guinea pigs, because that's illegal too.
Yeah, they tried that in the past, right?
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany, and that...
I think his name was Frankenstein.
Something like that, yeah. He too.
Worked for him. But that's true. It's just, and now you got vegans out there that don't want you to eat meat. And if we stop eating meat, what are we going to do with all these millions of cattle and...
Now, wait a minute. I have a vegan diet. I've been on a vegan diet for 4 years.
Have you?
I have. And for me, it's been more about health.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other show or two to talk about that. But I have gotten rid of all of dairy, all of my meats, even fish.
Really?
And again, fish is a whole other story because that's my expertise. And I've not been very positive about eating fish today.
Probably got a couple of friends you don't want to eat them.
Yes. But that kind of gave impetus to the short story that I recently published. And I decided to start sharing these stories in ebook form. And so really this is the first of a number of stories that I'm going to do. But this one was a cautionary tale. And it had to do, well, what, like you brought up, what are we going to do in the future if you can't use animals? Computer simulations. Computer simulations do have their place, and they do quite a bit of work that's done in the computer before it gets into the animals.
Yeah.
You have to really, really have a good background in biology to understand how complex animals are. In the last 2 decades, we learned so much about the complexity of the DNA, and the ability to manipulate it has increased exponentially.
Yeah.
There are now technologies out there that where it used to be kind of a hit or miss thing to be able to insert genes and to get them to amplify, which is to kind of show up a particular characteristic that a person might have in their genes. But now, those genes can be inserted very accurately. And so designer babies, which used to be something that, to talk about and worry about, create the soldier of the future, so to speak, that's not incomprehensible with some of the things that have been done.
Well, if you notice something is missing in a baby, you can plug them in.
Yeah, and really a lot of the pharmaceutical companies have been going towards designer drugs. So looking at the DNA and looking at groupings of DNA with disease and being able to produce a drug that, say, will fit that group of characteristics. Because, one person takes a drug and he's fine. Another person takes a drug and it kills him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's with that? This one gets cured, this one dies.
Yeah.
That's that's tough.
Didn't I read someplace where they're injecting a baby, a fetus, in the mother with something because it was lacking, and they put whatever it was, some chemical or something that the baby was lacking, so that when he was born, he'd have it already in him.
I think you might be talking about stem cells. That's the other thing. We were talking about computers. The other thing is stem cells, is basically taking a cell that has the ability, just like with a baby, to become anything when it's born.
Right.
And so what is it that defines what it's going to be? Is it going to be a brain cell? Is it going to be a kidney cell? Is it going to be, your fingertip or your hair?
Yeah.
What defines that? There's an extraordinary amount of research that goes into doing something like that. They can manipulate that now.
We're getting towards Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, beyond.
Oh, yeah. It's scary.
Yeah, I'm influenced by a lot of the science writers, like Michael Crichton with Jurassic Park. If you read the book, as opposed to, the movie's great, for going and seeing dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But the real science aspect of the story is kind of lost in the movie. although it shows up. And it's about the genetics, and it's about manipulating things that, do we really know what the outcome is going to be? Can we always define what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And that's really what my short story is about. It's called Level 6.
Level 6.
And it's about someone who would be like me in my position, who had a job working with zebrafish. And suddenly the animal rights activists decided that even fish shouldn't be used, which incidentally they actually have been talking about that. They don't want any kind of an animal being used in research at all, which, that's nice, but how many of them are going without pills? When they got a headache, do they take a pill?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I've kind of laid my cards on the table by being a vegan, so at least they can't point that at
Well,
me.
I think that's something that maybe they are thinking about. I don't know. But if you're not going to use an animal for this testing, what are you going to use?
Well, that's what you got to read my story. And
I
I don't
want
want
to.
I don't. I don't want to give the ending because it's pretty much a shocker.
Yeah.
I actually start my advertising with, "Do not read this book if you scare easily."
I saw that.
And I'm serious. I actually had one of the top level scientists that I work with. I wanted to know what he thought of it. I gave him. There's a couple of them. I gave it to it. And the first thing he said to me, he goes, "John," he says, "you have a very strange mind." He says, "You gave me nightmares."
Wow.
So apparently my point got across. I mean, these guys had taught me enough about DNA and animal research that I was able to project something. Of course, when you write, you're going to use hyperbole.
Sure.
You're going to create a story that is hard to believe, yet on the other hand, is it?
It's
So
scary.
what exactly they use for research in my story?
Now, when is it going to come out?
It's out.
Oh, it's out.
Yeah, it's available now in ebook.
Oh, okay.
And in conjunction with appearing on your show, I'm going to offer it free from starting Monday through Friday on Amazon.com.
On the.
Get an ebook form, you can download it for free.
Oh, okay.
I'd
I
like to.
got that.
Yeah. So
And how do they find it? Go on eBay and
go on Amazon.com.
Yeah.
And type in either Level 6 or type in my whole name, John Benjamin Sciarra, and you'll see all of my books there. I've got
Okay.
my 4 kids' books.
Yeah.
And they're science related too.
Yeah.
And I always try to look for stories, for morals with my stories, or to teach something, or to get some point across. With my kids' books, it's teaching them about science theory without teaching them about science theory.
Wow.
So they pick up what modern science is teaching. I went to it was a 4th grade book that my grandson was at a few years ago, and got on a board and started drawing and teaching them about string theory. And you would think, who's going to teach 4th grade students about string theory? They got it.
Huh.
They understood it. Not because I'm such a great teacher, but because I'm such a novice that I look at it the way they do.
Yeah.
So I look at simplifying things.
Oh.
And I've always admired writers who can take complex subjects and simplify them so that everybody can understand. You don't have to talk in jargon all the time.
Yeah.
Although I like to throw a little jargon in there so you learn, so you can't be fooled.
Yeah.
So doctor comes in and tells you have this horrendous disease, and then you go look it up and finds out you just had a pimple.
Yeah.
You're like, what was I worried about?
Science has always intrigued me. I don't care too much for sci-fi, but the thought of doing things that they're doing today, and like somebody was with Google, Google president, I think, who is now worth $1 billion. He's put up $250 million to study cancer. And what he's doing is getting a whole group of people together, or not people, but a whole group of companies together, and pool it. Instead of you working on the same thing that this guy's working on, everybody's going to be pooling. And he's working on the having the body's immunization attacking the cancer cells.
Right.
And it works for brain cancer and kidney cancer. And so they're trying to get through doing the whole body. Apparently Jimmy Carter had brain cancer,
Right. Yep.
and it's gone. They used this
Right.
on it. That kind of stuff you can't do without subjects to work on.
Yeah.
And I just feel that we're not going as deep into this to find out what else are we going to use before you ban everything.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the case. One of my favorite authors, I think, is Robin Cook. Although lately he's taken a turn in his writing that's worse than anything I've ever done.
Really?
You talk about scary. I mean, he wrote his last book was, I can't think of the name of it, but it was just crazy scary.
Wow.
And he bases his on real science. And I've always admired that about like Michael Crichton, Robin Cook, and Michael Connolly, people like that.
Oh, yeah.
They all have doctor backgrounds. We're doctors. They had MD degrees. And so when they write, they're able to take and kind of bend that, the plausibility just enough to make it believable. And if you can stay just within that fine line so that people have to go and look it up to find out if what you was true or not.
Yeah.
You know, I think you've accomplished something in your writing.
It gets scary. Like with the chickens, we were talking about the chickens they burned, and somebody wrote in the day, well, they must have been scared to death. The chicken had no idea what was happening. It doesn't think fire. Oh, the fire is falling. The chicken has no idea. I don't think he had a chance to get scared. But I think that's the mentality of some of these people, that they progress whatever they're feeling into an animal that has no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just.
I have to say, in the time that I worked at Pfizer, that one thing that impressed me was their concern and care for the animals superseded their care for the people who work with them. And I don't mean to knock that, but to say that they put that in a perspective that I appreciated. If there was a person who on the second time didn't feed a mouse or forgot to water it, it's likely that person's job was on the line.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's how concerned they are about the animals. I appreciate that.
That's a good thing, because they don't want to see an animal suffer.
Right.
You don't want to cut off an arm and see how long they last.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do.
I don't know. Never saw that one, but who knows? You know, with a starfish, maybe they know it's going to grow back.
Yeah.
Or a reptile's tail. You know, those are all things that are fascinating. In fact, the zebrafish is interesting because damage to its heart, any damage to its heart, it will heal.
Really?
Humans don't do that.
Oh.
We would cut off its tail so that we could document from the genetics which animal was showing the type of genotype or phenotype that we were looking for. You know, was it exhibiting the disease that we wanted, or did it have the right genetic background? And the tail would grow back within a few days.
Wow.
And we like, that's just incredible. That's like cutting your fingers off and having them grow back.
Yeah. Well, I got new ones.
There's a whole level of science
Hope they're longer.
And so medical facilities around the world, we had a small little thing. They had millions and millions of fish in some of these big companies up around Boston, in that area. It's huge around the world right now. Yeah, zebrafish is actually the premier model.
Well, you know, you talk about taking away the elephants and the whales. 90% of the people will never see an elephant unless it's in a zoo, or a whale unless it's in an aquarium, which I think takes some of that away from us. And as long as they're not being harshly treated, I don't see the harm, personally. And what we see, they're being treated very well. We don't know what's happening beyond the stage. When that stage opens up, you don't know what's going on in the back of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people have been, infiltrating and getting a lot of stuff, a lot of footage that is showing that kind of thing is happening.
Yeah.
It's ethics there with the animals is very difficult, and it's very difficult to put in perspective of when do you pursue caring about the animals and then caring about humans.
Yeah.
And all of the things that are going on with humans around the world right now, with all of these people being displaced from their homes and dying on boats, it seemed that the voices don't seem to be as loud in those situations. So it's like, how do you balance all of that?
And a lot of the humans treat their other humans worse than we do with animals.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well,
No animals go out and kill for fun. They do it for food.
I was telling you earlier that I was working on my 8th novel, and literally this morning I put the final words to it. I've been working this on and off for a few years.
Really?
The story was so complicated that I would have to get away from it for a good period of time, come back, reread the whole thing again, and get it set in my mind, put timelines on, because I had so many different subplots going. When you write, you want people to think one way, and you're going to go the other.
Wow.
So if you're designing a book and you're designing a story, a lot of thought goes into. I don't know if people. I know I didn't appreciate it when I was growing up. My English teacher used to hound me in high school. It's like, the white whale represents something. And I always like the old, but how do you know? That's what he intended. It isn't until you really get writing that you realize how much effort goes into something like that.
Yeah.
And now that I write, I appreciate and go back and can read some of the older books and the classics.
I enjoy writing. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's cathartic,
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of physicians or psychiatrists recommend to people that they journal.
Yeah.
And just get information, get stuff out there. Sometimes you don't know what you're thinking until you write it.
Yeah, notice that.
And you know what else I like too is that if I come across people that I don't like,
You write them into the
they
book.
wind into the book, and bad things happen to them.
Oh, geez, not again. Mr. Bill. Remember Mr. Bill on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah,
Oh, no, Mr. Bill.
yeah, exactly.
But that's true. You can do anything you want to them. They don't know. They're not going to feel a thing, but
And
you did it.
I always make sure it's a composite personality too. So, no one could sit down and say, "Were you writing about me?" Although I have had people come up and read some of my stories and realize that was them in the book. I had a professor that when I wrote the book Noah, it came from a short story that I wrote for his class called Noah's Diary.
Uh-huh.
And he's a local author, and right now his name slips my mind, but he has a number of books. And he had a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
And he wound up in the book. So there's a professor in the book called Noah that is based on at least his characteristics. He would take us down to, the name of the course was called Stories of the Sea or something of that nature. And we would go down to the boathouse over at Yukon and sit among the boats to kind of get the feel of it instead of a classroom.
Ah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Huh. Well, that's like my Mystic book. I wrote about a teenage girl that worked in a local soda shop, and I was in love with her. And I think she was like 16, 17, and I was 12, 11.
I'm trying to picture that, Tom.
Yeah, I was just in love with the girl. Well, she graduated from high school, got married, moved to Maine. And, I didn't say that she moved to Maine, but she graduated, got married. And a few years later, after the book was out, she pulled me over the side and she goes, "Did you write about me?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "My brother said that you wrote about me." I said, "Yeah, it was." I said, "I was so in love with you." And we talked, and she thought it was nice that I talked. I didn't say anything bad about it, naturally, but... And then her husband goes, "Was that my wife you talked about?" I said, "Yes, and I hated you." You took her away. Well, you only have 5 minutes left. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're still friends, and she passed away 5 or 6 months ago, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And it's just kind of one of those puppy love things that never went anywhere. And but we kept in touch over all the years. And that's when you find somebody like that you can write about, it made me feel so good that I did that. I wasn't going to put it in. I said, "Oh, this is a story. It's a childhood story of the 50s that was important." So, how do we get that book again? On Amazon?
Okay, so go to Amazon.com
Yeah,
and either look for Level 6, that's the figure 6,
yeah.
or just type my name in, John Benjamin Sciarra, on the search engine in Amazon. That'll take you to my author's page there,
Okay.
and you'll be able to see all my books. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn,
And your books are very interesting.
Well, thank you.
You're a very good writer.
I appreciate that.
Really appreciate reading your stuff. To get that straight, if you can't remember it, give me a call, and I'll give you the information to find the book. And it sounds very intriguing.
Hopefully it'll get people thinking.
Yeah.
And a couple of nightmares, too, while we're at it.
Well, that's why I want to read it now, because I want to see what the nightmare's like.
Okay.
So what do you got coming up?
At the end of the year, I've already finished a book on my real stories. Beachmaster was a fictitious story about a 2,000-pound Steller sea lion that escapes from an aquarium at Ocean Beach Park and goes rampant. So there's a lot of local stuff in there, and that was a lot of fun writing, and hopefully people will pick that up. It's also available in ebook or print form on Amazon.
Okay.
But the real story is coming out at the end of the year. And I'm hoping the aquarium's going to let me do the launch there because I used to be their curator. I was one of their first employees.
That's right.
Way back. I started as actually an exhibit builder, someone that they could train, and I stayed on and learned the place from the ground up and became their curator. Left for a while, came back for a while, but the stories were great. And it's the true story of Samson, who was a Steller sea lion there, a spectacular animal, and the effect that he had on me, with a lot of other stories too. It's great for kids. It's going to be illustrated by a good friend of mine, Keith M. Cowley. And Keith is very well known in the area, not only as an artist. He designed a lot of the dinosaurs over at the dinosaur place, and so he's very integrated into society around here. So hopefully that'll come out.
All right. So you can only get your books on Amazon as an ebook or as a hardcover, a softcover, right?
Right. Now you can't get the level 6.
Oh, that's not available.
That's only ebook.
Okay.
That's only for a download. It's too little. It's a little book. About 10 pages long.
Oh.
Easy to read.
Oh, gosh.
Short story.
I had a couple of notes in the last 2 minutes here. And a couple of things that happened this week. What could be said when a close friend passes away? He was a nice guy, a legend, the end of an era. No words can soothe the hurt you feel. I lost 2 friends this week. The first one was Dayton Treehorn. Dayton was an usher in my first wedding in 1965. And he's always been a friend, even though our lives went different paths over the years. He was still my friend. He was 70 years old and much too young to leave us. My condolences to his family. The second one is an old friend, 91 years old, a true local icon and legend. John Whit Davis passed away yesterday. Whit was born to be a farmer. He never left the farm. I don't even think he took vacations. He was so proud of his Davis Stanton farm on Greenhaven Road in Pawcatuck. His contributions to the town and state were many. His accolades were many. He was the greatest storyteller I've ever met. Condolences to Whit's family. And he will be missed by me and I'm sure a lot of others. R.I.P. Whit. Time to grow vegetables in heaven. The next CCAPA meeting is going to be on May 16th at the Groton Regency Retirement, new place we're going to try. The next loved one session will also be at the Groton Regency. And that's going to be on May 23rd. And tonight, the VFW is serving chowder and clam fritters. And to all you mothers out there, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I know Mother's Day is Sunday, and I will have to stop and see my mom, because she passed away many years ago. Anyway, have a wonderful Mother's Day. Thank you for watching. You can email me at santostom@comcast.net if you have any questions. You should be reading. Cuddle up with a good book. I'll see you next week. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.